friends, it's Christy. So excited to be back with you on the Lawnfawn YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making an all dyes card using the brand new Build-A-Bunny and Build-A-Bunny accessories. I'm also going to be using some pattern paper from the new Bitsy Blooms 6x6. So I'm going to pull out the sheet that I want to use as my color palette inspiration and then bring in some cardstock to match. And the shades that I'm using are Ballet Slippers, Guava, Fake Tan, number 2 pencil, cilantro, mermaid, Sugarplum, fog, and black licorice. So we have a beautiful rainbow color palette, but right now I want to pull out just the pieces that I need to make my bunny. And that is going to be the fog, the black licorice, and the ballet slippers. So from the fog, I'm going to die cut my bunny's face, and I'm using the one with the winky eyes. I'm also using the sitting body and the little feet, which I just love. I think those are so cute. And I'm going to use the shorter little hugging arms. So I'll die cut all of those out of the fog, and I had an extra sheet in case I needed more, but I didn't need that. I also die cut the belly, the nose backer, the little ears, and the blush pieces from the ballet slippers. And I'm going to end up not using that belly piece, but this was my first time ever building this bunny, so initially I wasn't sure if I was going to need it. And then from the black licorice, I'm going to die cut the eye backer piece. Then I decided to dress my little bunny up, so I went back to my Bitsy Blooms 6x6 pad, and I decided to go with this pale aqua kind of plaid pattern. So I am going to tear that out, and I decided that my bunny was going to be a boy, and I was going to give him some little overalls. So I'm going to die cut those out of that pattern paper. And then I wanted to do some of the trim pieces to match, and I'm going to use some mermaid cardstock for that. And I will do the little straps, the cuffs, and the pocket from the mermaid cardstock. Then I'm going to move on to some flowers, and I'm going to do both the tulips and the daisy looking flower, and I am going to die cut those out of the ballet slippers, the guava, and the sugar plum. I'm going to do 2 flowers from each color, 1 tulip and 1 daisy. And then I will do 3 of the backer pieces of the daisy from the number 2 pencil. I'll do the stems of the flowers from the cilantro and the top of the carrot from the cilantro and the bottom of the carrot from the fake tan. So now I'm ready to start building my bunny, and I'm going to work my way from the top down. So I'm going to start with the head, and I'm going to pop out all of those little die cuts for his ears, nose, and eyes, and then I will lay his head face down on my craft mat. Then I will get the ear backer piece ready and add the barest bit of glue up at the top where that is going to go, and then I will lay that piece face down right over top, lining that up with the edges of his head. Then I'll take the next piece, which is going to be the eye backer, and again just add a very little bit of glue because I don't want anything squishing out through any of the holes to the front. And this part just makes me smile because it looks like the bunny is ready to go skiing, of course, until we add that little nose backer on there. And then I'm going to flip that over. You can see that all of those little spaces are perfectly filled in. So next I'm going to grab the body, and I'm going to trim off the little feet because we're going to be adding the larger sitting feet on top. And then I will add a little bit of glue to that line that the die embosses and add the head right above that. Then I'm going to grab the overalls, and I'm going to tuck those up underneath the head, just kind of tucking them in and sliding them up until I find the perfect placement. I'll adjust those down so that the middle part between his legs covers his body completely. And then I realized that I don't need the belly because none of that was going to show anyway. I wasn't sure if a little bit of the belly would show above the overalls, but it wasn't going to. So I just set that piece aside and added in the overall straps next. And again, I'm just tucking those up underneath the head so that it looks like they're coming in from the back. And then I'll add the little pocket, and I'm going to put that right over the stitched area where the die adds that little pocket. So it's very clear where to place it. Then I'll add the cuffs. I was just checking to see if I needed the cuffs, if the feet were going to cover that area completely, but a little bit of that was going to show. So I decided to add those cuffs on there at the bottom. And then I'm going to take those little feet, and this is when I realized that I forgot to cut the backer piece for the feet out. So I'll just do that quickly out of some more Ballet Slippers cardstock, and then I can pop out the little areas from that die so that the backer pieces are going to show through. And then just like with the head, I'm going to flip those feet over so that they are face down on my craft mat. And I'm again going to add just the barest bit of glue. I had to think about where to place that. Initially I tried to put it in the middle and then realized that glue was just going to come through that center hole. So instead I put it right up at the top and on the sides of the foot, and then just lined those pieces up. And there we have one little foot ready to go. So I'll do the same thing for the other foot. And then once I have those put together, I will add those, and I'm just going to place them at a little bit of an angle, making sure to cover up those little edges that are kind of showing on the sides of his overalls. That kind of tells me how to get those placed just perfectly. And he's looking so cute. But he definitely needs some arms, so I'm going to take those little hugging arms, the shorter arms, and add just a little bit of glue, and then tuck that kind of sharp looking piece, that little corner, up under the head right next to the overall straps. And I'll add the other one there as well. And you can adjust those at different levels, but I kind of wanted them to be about even on the front. So I'm just arranging those until I have them how I want them. I did not add any glue down over like the hand part because I do want to add something in his arms in just a little bit. But first I want to add the blush pieces. So I'm using my EK Success reverse tweezers for this since they are very tiny. Adding a little bit of glue to the back and then just placing those down on his face. And I love how happy that makes him look. It's just so cheerful. So my bunny is done. I'm going to set him aside and work on my flowers next, and also the little carrot. So I'm going to take out the carrot and the carrot top, and then I'll also take out the daisies and the daisy backers. I'm popping out the center hole of the daisies, and then I'm going to use my tweezers to just open up that top little hole that the die creates in the carrot, so that I can slip that carrot top down inside. I'm going to add the tiniest little bead of glue right on the end of that, and then fit it down inside, make sure I have it how I want it, and then set that aside to dry. For the daisies, I'm just going to add a tiny dot of glue to each of the little rounded areas, not adding any glue in the center because that's where the hole is going to go. And once I have those three lined up, I'm just going to add the flower piece on top. Started out using my tweezers, but I decided just to use my hands. I prefer to use my hands when I can, but sometimes the pieces really are too small. So the tweezers do come in handy. Definitely you can use those if you feel like those would be better. But I got those lined up and just added those on top, and they're looking so cute. Now I'm going to add the stems, and so I'm just going to add a little bead of glue to the round part at the top, and then I can set those daisy pieces right over top. Really quick and easy to put together, and they're just so much fun. So I'll just move those over to the side so I can work on my tulips. I'll get those 3 stems ready to go, and then I'll add the 3 tulip tops right above. And then again, just add a quick bead of glue to that little round circle part at the top. And then I'm going to add those tulips, and I'm kind of adding them at a little bit of a different angle for each one just to make them a bit more whimsical and fun. Next, I'm going to work on my focal panel, and I'm going to die cut my sky out of more of that aqua pattern paper using the largest small stitched circle stackable. I'll also do some mermaid cardstock out of the largest scallop circle stackable. Then I'm going to die cut another piece of cilantro using that same circle stackable, and I will trim that down with the grassy border. I trimmed out that circle stackable once again out of a scrap of white cardstock, and from this one I'm going to die cut the picket fence border. So I'm just lining that up carefully so that the edges kind of land between the boards of that fence. I'm also going to die cut the main part of my sentiment using Oliver's Stitched ABCs, and I am going to be spelling out the word Easter. Since there are only 6 letters in the word Easter, and I had 7 different colors of that rainbow of cardstock, I needed to remove one, and I decided to not do the number 2 pencil. I just liked the way the other shades of cardstock looked together, so that is what I'm going to do. I will have to die cut the E twice, so I will do that out of the mermaid as well. I'm also going to go back to that Bitsy Blooms 6x6 pad one more time and tear out this gorgeous rainbow plaid, which I just adore. And I'm going to use that with the scrap that I used initially for my color palette inspiration. I'm going to trim down the rainbow plaid with the largest large stitch rectangle stackables. Then I need to stamp just one little word to finish off my sentiment for the front of this card. I'm going to use the Carrot Bout You stamp set and just stamp out the word Hoppy. I'm doing that in VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I will set that aside and pop my card base in my MISTI. I'm using Mermaid cardstock and stamping on the inside in Merman ink. And again, I'm going to use that Carrot Bout You stamp set. I'm just going to go super minimal with the inside for today, stamping the little bunny and a flower in Hip Hop Hooray. I'm ready to start assembling this card, so I'm going to take that rainbow plaid and I am going to add some glue from the glue tube to the back of that, line that up on my A2 standard size card, so it's 4¼ wide by 5½ tall, and smooth that down into place. Then I'll bring in that floral print and I'm going to adhere that a little bit high of center, going horizontally across the card. I'll check that with the focal panel and make sure that I have that where I want it. And now I can build my focal panel as well. I'm going to take that sky piece and adhere that so that the lines are straight up and down and side to side, just to give it a little bit of a different look from the overalls, which were cut at a diagonal. Then I'll take that grass piece and layer that over top, lining it up with the bottom of the sky piece. Then I'll add some liquid glue to the back of the fence posts, making sure to add a little extra glue to the edges. And then I will tuck that in back behind the grasses. So we have a nice little garden scene. I added some Scotch 3M foam tape to the back of that so I can give the card a bit of dimension. So I'll just peel off those release papers and line up that focal panel right in the center of that floral print, making sure I have the same amount showing on the left and the right, and then press that down into place. Then I can bring in my bunny and my flowers. I'm going to add the little carrot into his hands, so I'll add a thin little line of glue to the back of that and tuck that under his hand so it looks like he's holding on to it. Super cute. I did trim down the stems of all of my flowers just a smidge to make them a little bit easier to tuck down into the grasses. And I'm just going to start on the left with one of the tulips and work my way across the back. I am going to alternate both the style of flower and the color of flower. So I added a pink tulip and then a guava daisy and then a purple tulip. And then I'm going to pick back up after the bunny and I'll go in with a purple daisy. So I'll have the kind of pinks on the outside, the guavas in the center, and the purple on the inside edge of each of those two little sections, but it's a different flower for each side. So just add my last one there, and I love how that gives the card so much color, really gives it those spring vibes and ties in so nicely with the pattern paper. I'll add some liquid glue to the back of my bunny and just make sure I have him right where I want him, and then press him down into place as well. And then all that's left is to add my sentiment. So I line that up down at the bottom of the card so I could be sure to get the placement right. And I'm back to using my EK Success reverse tweezers to help me pick up those letters, add the liquid glue to the back of them, and then just set them back down into place. And I am working from the right of the card toward the left, and I just arranged those in rainbow order, starting with the pink and ending with the purple. So I'm just going to adhere these all the way across, and then I'm going to die cut the rest of that sentiment with the smallest of the everyday sentiment banners, and I'll add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of that and adhere that right above the E in Easter. Then I'll flip that card over and trim off the excess. And that is going to finish up this card. I had so much fun playing with these adorable little Build-A-Bunnies today. I really hope that you enjoyed it too. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye-bye!